Greetings, flocks. Today, I'll be discussing the film The Quiet, which is both a suspenseful and psychological thriller. Publicly available in 2005. Please begin. None of our main characters wanders the halls of the school thinking about how lonely she is. She overhears her stepsister, Nina, the school's most popular girl, making fun of her in front of her best friend at lunch. Dot hides out in the school bathroom, feeling ashamed and depressed, until Nina comes searching for her and angrily informs her that she should have gone home. Back at home, Nina's mother Olivia scolds the teenagers for being so cruel to her daughter, who is deaf and dumb, but is ignored by everyone. Paul, the father of Nina and Dot, was at the pharmacy when he was approached by the school counselor, who told him that she was worried about Dot's propensity to spend time alone. Paul is stunned by the news when he gets home. His wife, who Nina gives him, is unconscious on the couch. After he leaves, she argues with Dot in an effort to persuade her to join the experiment, pharmaceuticals belonging to Olivia. Dot, however, pays her no mind, and Nina proceeds with the plan. When Paul looks for his wife in the house, he finds her in the living room and learns that she has passed out from exhaustion. He carries her to her room in his arms. During their brief conversation, it becomes apparent that their relationship is not strong. In fact, their romantic lives give off the impression that they are slightly dissatisfied. Paul tries to make Don feel at ease after dinner, but Nina unexpectedly interrupts to say that she will be spending the night at Michael's. In S classroom the following day, Dad is assigned to Connor's squad, just one of the school's dashing lads, which is why during lunch, Michelle vents to Nina about how annoying it is and how she absolutely must get rid of her V-card before the year is up. But when she sees Doris chatting it up with a woman who uses sign language, she pays no attention to her. Later, Donna sneaks into the music room and plays the piano with all her heart. Connor walks by in the hall, but he ignores him to admire her from the outside. Before retiring for the night, Nina paints her lips to look like the Joker, and they run into each other outside the establishment. Donna thinks about the terrible accident that killed her father and how depressing her life has become since his death. And she has to put up with being Nina's roommate. The following evening, Nina informs her parents that she will once again be staying at Michelle's house. Paul initially says no, but his mother disregards his authority, and Nina uses this to her advantage by touching his leg provocatively. So she quickly packs up and leaves. That comes over to listen to Olivia, who recounts the day she first met her mother and then shows her a picture of the two of them when they were young, setting off an argument between Paul and Olivia. Dot later reveals to Olivia that she's written a note expressing her desire to visit the movies. On the other hand, Paul appears and offers to take her. Paul doesn't make any eye contact with the driver during the awkward car ride there. Dot, who is seated in the theater's upper balcony, sees that Nina and her crew are present. While the lights are out, Michelle tries to play with Connor by standing next to him. She asks Nina to move so she can do so. Again, he tries to get the group to include Dot by showing interest in her, but they all ignore him. One of the girls laughs now because she can't fathom living without speech or hearing. When they ask Nina about it, she says that she used to be fine, but that her condition changed when she was 7 years old. When Dad gets home and tries to go to sleep, he is awakened by Paul in his room. She makes like she's sleeping while the man sits on her bed, trying to unload. "The secret I keep inside me kills me every day," he says. Nina and her crew plan a day off together over lunch the following day. Nina, however, is hesitant to comply and gets into a spat with Michelle over it. When Nina gets back to her house, she overhears Scott playing the piano with virtuosity and herself singing as she tries to hit the right note. The next day at school, she comes to eat lunch with Dot and tells her that she is Snoop's new girlfriend and that she hates her father so much that she plans to kill him that night as a means of relieving the stress of the situation. After Connor hears Doc playing the piano in the music room and tries to connect with her, Doc immediately turns in her science report and leaves. The family is having dinner and catching up on their day when the doorbell rings. Thinking it's Michelle, Nina goes to answer it, but instead finds Connor standing there. After he explains that he's just dropping by to talk to his dad about his science fair project, she lets him in. Upon meeting the family, Connor explains that he needs to accompany his father to the library so that he can proceed with his research. But just then, there was a knock at the door, and Nina went to answer it once more, not recognizes Michelle as the package delivery person for Nina. She and Connor leave the scene because she thinks the gun is the one Nina mentioned. Certainly not in Connor's case. They're on a date of sorts at a restaurant, but all she can think about is how much Nina wants to kill Paul. When she gets back to the house, she looks through Nina's wallet and finds only movies. She is walking down the hall when she overhears Nina and her father performing a northern act. When Nina enters, she sees that her father is in on the joke. Later, when Nina is crying in her room, Scott comes in to console her as the latter gets ready for school and irons her cheerleading uniform. Although Nina expresses dissatisfaction with her body and asks outright if she is overweight, she insists, time and time again, that this is not the case. In light of this, Nina decides to stop harping on the subject. Nina later admits to not carrying out her plan to kill her father. That night, she watches a basketball game at her school and notices that Connor doesn't seem particularly motivated. When the final buzzer sounds, Connor, who is constantly checking his watch, agrees to meet her in the hall, and the two of them head to the pool, where Connor opens up about his emotions. Simultaneously, Nina returns home, where her father is waiting with a lavish gift bag in the kitchen. She goes to her room to get ready, but he starts seducing her there. Dot gets her first news at the same time. A fresh run, in with Connor, leaves both of them worn out. The clock striking 12 prompts her return home. She arrives at the perfect moment to foil Nina's plans. She used the hot iron to scorch her father's face, dry him from the house. Nina reveals to him that she is expecting a child and needs $1,000 to pay for an abortion. He sobs at the news and promises to give her the money the following day, while Dot stays hidden in her room to avoid Paul's discovery. However, while she is waiting for lunch, Nina unexpectedly shows up and spends the night with her. School lunches. Connor approaches Donna and asks her to the dance later that night. She employs the cook as a translator to convey her refusal to accompany him. Despite this, Connor's insistence remains unchanged. At night, Nina visits Dot's room to persuade her to go to the dance, giving her her address and offering to help her with her makeup if she wants to feel more confident about going out. Both girls check themselves out in the mirror after Nina goes to the bathroom to apply dark lip paint. When Nina inquires as to the nature of Dot's massive secret, the two women exchange knowing glances. Paul finds a pair of tampons in Nina's purse and decides to investigate further by going upstairs. She evades his questions and puts on a front, but eventually realizes that her father is just using her to get what he wants out of her. He loses it almost instantly and treats her violently, telling her he almost couldn't sleep because he believed the pregnancy lie. Paul tosses Nina onto the bed and yells at her until he undresses and begins to physically abuse her. Simultaneously, Scott plays Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata on the piano, only to rip off a string and bolt up the stairs. As Paul continues to rape Nina, she grabs him from behind and begins to choke him desperately, yelling all the hatred she felt for him. Olivia, shocked by what she has just witnessed, enters the scene just as Nina is beginning to grieve for her father's death and insults, not for what she did. She tells Dot that at least they now know that she is capable of talking. The girls immediately leave when Michelle comes knocking on the door. The evidence is placed in a backpack and they head off to the dance. After their arrival, Michelle inquires as to Nina's mental health, but Nina deceives her by saying she took some pills. Connor asked her out to dance at Dodd. That puts the bag down on a seat and starts dancing with her crush, but she's still thinking about the bag the whole time. When Nina sees her, she suggests that she take the backpack so that they can leave together and conceal their tracks. When Doc leaves the dance, Connor chases after her into the hallway, where she shocks him by saying she can hear and speak normally. Connor is distraught and furious because he believes she has ignored every attempt to explain why this is happening, despite the fact that he has shared all of his most private and humiliating details with her. But he leaves in a huff. So, Doc sets out to locate Nina. They arrange to meet in the parking lot and then head into the woods to destroy any evidence that could lead to their capture. They take the sheets and piano wire and bury them in a large hole they dug on the riverbank, promising to spend the rest of their lives together. Nina inquires as to the motivation behind Doc's murder of Paul. After being asked if she thought Nina would do it, Doc says she knew better. When they got back to the house, the police were already there, and Olivia was being taken into custody because she admitted she committed the crime. After pleading with the officer for a moment to say goodbye to her daughter, she sobs her way out. Doc plays the piano as Donna and Nina talk about their strange new life together at the house. The movie is over. As for me, I'm done. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. Click the bell icon to be notified of updates to the movie reviews.